In the heart of Maple Hill, a town wrapped in the embrace of dense woods and fog, there stood an old elementary school, closed for decades. Once a vibrant place of laughter and learning, it now loomed like a forgotten sentinel, its broken windows resembling empty eyes staring into the abyss of time. The locals whispered of strange occurrences, disembodied laughter echoing in the night and shadows flitting past the cracked walls. The most unsettling tale was about a girl named Clara, a student who mysteriously disappeared one stormy night in 1963. The townsfolk claimed she had a gift, a remarkable ability to draw and paint visions that seemed to capture the essence of life around her. But after her disappearance, the school became a site of sorrow and speculation. Some said Clara's spirit lingered, forever searching for her lost artwork, while others claimed she was trapped within the walls, unable to escape. On Halloween night, a group of thrill-seeking teens, Emily, Jack, Sarah, and Tom, decided to explore the haunted school. Armed with flashlights and a shaky sense of bravado, they slipped through a gap in the rusted fence and entered the building. The air inside was stale, thick with dust and secrets, and the wooden floorboards groaned underfoot as if protesting their presence. "Are you sure we should be here?" Sarah whispered, glancing nervously at the crumbling walls. But Emily shrugged, her curiosity outweighing any fear. "It's just an old school. What could happen?" They moved through the dimly lit halls, their flashlights casting long, eerie shadows. The classrooms were filled with old desks, some still holding crumpled papers and forgotten crayons. In one room, Emily spotted a faded mural of a tree with vibrant flowers, Clara's signature style. "Look at this!" she exclaimed, stepping closer. The colors, though dulled by time, seemed to pulse with life. As they examined the mural, a chill swept through the room. Tom felt a sudden urge to look behind him. When he turned, he caught a fleeting glimpse of a small figure at the far end of the hall. "Did you see that?" he stammered, his voice barely a whisper. "What?" Jack asked, rolling his eyes. "It's probably just a rat." Ignoring him, Tom ventured into the hall, following the shadow. The others hesitated but eventually trailed behind. The further they walked, the darker it became, as if the shadows were thickening. They reached a door marked Art Room, its paint peeling and flaking away like old memories. Inside, the air was different, heavy and charged, as if it held a secret. A single desk stood in the center, cluttered with forgotten art supplies and crumpled drawings. Among them, a large canvas leaned against the wall, covered by a dust sheet. Emily's heart raced with anticipation. "Let's see what's under it." She pulled the sheet away, revealing a haunting portrait of a girl with dark eyes and a melancholic smile. Clara. The artwork seemed alive, and for a moment, Emily felt as though the girl was staring right at her, pleading for something. Suddenly, the temperature dropped, and a soft whisper brushed against her ear. "Help me?" Startled, the group exchanged frightened glances. "What was that?" Jack asked, his bravado crumbling. But before anyone could respond, a loud bang echoed through the room, and the door slammed shut, trapping them inside. Panic set in. "Open the door," Sarah shouted, shaking the handle. But it wouldn't budge. Emily stepped back, her breath quickening, when she noticed a faint glow emanating from the canvas. The colors in the painting seemed to shimmer, swirling like a dark storm. "Clara, is that you?" Emily called out, her voice trembling. The whispers grew louder, converging into a desperate chant. "Find my lost things." "Lost things?" Tom echoed, his face pale. "What does that mean?" Before they could figure it out, the air filled with the scent of damp earth and crayons. The windows rattled, and suddenly, the figures of children appeared, circling the room. Their laughter was joyful yet sorrowful, echoing in a haunting melody. They reached for the painting, their tiny hands grasping at the air as if trying to pull Clara from the canvas. Then, Clara's figure emerged from the painting, translucent and ethereal, her dark eyes filled with longing. "Help me find my drawings. They're lost, somewhere in this school." The room began to shake, and Emily felt an inexplicable urge to help. "Where do we start?" she asked, heart racing. "Follow the laughter," Clara whispered, her voice like a breeze through autumn leaves. Without thinking, the group nodded and rushed to the door. As they pushed against it, it creaked open, revealing the darkened halls, now alive with the echoes of children's laughter. They followed the sound, moving through the school, feeling the presence of Clara guiding them. They entered the library, where the laughter grew louder, almost overwhelming. Books lay scattered on the floor, and a small wooden chest sat in the corner. "Is this it?" Emily asked, breathless. Clara nodded, her form flickering. Tom reached for the chest, opening it slowly. Inside, they found drawings, beautiful, haunting illustrations of Clara's world. Each one seemed to pulse with a life of its own, capturing moments of joy and sorrow. As they lifted the artwork from the chest, the whispers crescendoed into a symphony of gratitude. Clara smiled, her spirit brightening. "Thank you. Now I can be free." In a sudden burst of light, Clara and the drawings shimmered, merging into a brilliant glow. The children's laughter faded, replaced by a serene silence that filled the library. The air grew lighter, and the tension that had once gripped the school dissipated like mist. With a final whisper of thanks, Clara vanished, leaving behind only the echo of her laughter and a lingering warmth in the room. The friends exited the school, the night air crisp and clean. They looked back at the old building, no longer a place of fear but a site of closure. As they made their way home, they knew they had not just freed a spirit, but had also uncovered a part of Maple Hill's forgotten history, a reminder that even the lost deserve to be remembered. The following days were marked by a strange calm in Maple Hill. The old school, once a source of chilling tales, now felt different, almost at peace. Emily, Tom, Sarah, and Jack shared a bond forged by their harrowing experience, but the whispers of the past still lingered in their minds. One evening, as they gathered at Emily's house to discuss the events of that fateful night, a storm rolled in, casting shadows across the walls. Rain drummed against the windows, and the wind howled like a distant echo of laughter. They sat in a circle, illuminated only by flickering candles, recounting the details of Clara's story and their unexpected encounter. "What do you think happened to her after we helped her?" Sarah asked, her brow furrowed with concern. "Do you think she found peace?" Tom shrugged, though unease hung in the air. "I hope so, but something still feels unfinished." As if summoned by their words, the lights flickered, then went out, plunging the room into darkness. A hush fell over them, followed by the faint sound of tapping like tiny fingers rapping against the windowpane. "What was that?" Jack asked, his voice low. The others exchanged nervous glances, their hearts racing. Emily stood and moved to the window, peering out into the storm. The wind howled, and for a moment, she thought she saw a flash of movement in the rain-soaked shadows, small figures darting between the trees. I think I saw something," she exclaimed, her voice trembling with both fear and curiosity. "Probably just the wind," Tom said, trying to sound confident. But deep down, he felt a chill that had nothing to do with the storm. Determined to uncover the truth, Emily grabbed her flashlight. "Let's go see if we can find anything. Maybe Clara left us a sign." "Are you crazy?" Sarah protested, but Emily's eyes were bright with a mix of fear and determination. "We've come this far. What if there's more to her story?" Reluctantly, the others agreed. They bundled up against the wind and rain and stepped outside, the cold air biting at their skin. As they made their way toward the school, the atmosphere thickened, tension building like an electric charge. As they approached the building, they noticed that the front doors stood ajar, creaking gently in the wind. "We definitely didn't leave it like this," Jack said, a knot forming in his stomach. "Maybe it's just the storm," Emily replied, though even she felt a shiver run down her spine. They entered the school, flashlights cutting through the darkness, illuminating dust motes that danced like spirits in the air. "Let's check the art room again," Tom suggested, his voice echoing off the walls. They navigated the hallways, guided by the flickering beams of light and the distant sound of rain. When they reached the art room, they found it just as they had left it, still and silent, except for the faint smell of damp paint lingering in the air. But something was different. In the center of the room stood the chest, now open, the drawings scattered around it like fallen leaves. "Did we leave it like this?" Sarah whispered, her eyes wide with disbelief. "I don't remember," Emily replied, stepping closer. As she picked up a drawing, she felt a shiver run through her, as if the image were alive. It depicted a stormy sky, dark clouds swirling, and in the center, a small figure holding a paintbrush, her face eerily reminiscent of Clara's. "What is this?" Tom asked, bewildered. Why would Clara draw this? Just then, a sudden gust of wind blew through the room, extinguishing their flashlights. They were plunged into darkness, the sound of children's laughter ringing in their ears, joyful, yet tinged with something darker. "Clara?" Emily called out, fear rising in her throat. "Is that you?" In response, the laughter morphed into a cacophony of whispers, overlapping and indistinct. The air grew colder, and from the corner of the room, a soft glow began to materialize. The figure of Clara appeared, her eyes wide and pleading. But this time there was something different about her. A shadow flickered behind her, a dark silhouette that seemed to stretch and twist in the dim light. "Help me find," Clara's voice echoed, but it was cut off by a sudden scream, a mix of joy and terror. "What do you want?" Emily shouted, stepping forward. "We thought we set you free." Clara pointed towards the window, where the storm raged outside, rain lashing against the glass. The shadow behind her seemed to grow, swirling in the air like smoke. It flickered with an unsettling energy, as if it were alive, hungry. "Not all the drawings are here," Clara whispered, her voice trembling. "You must find the rest before it's too late." The room shook, the laughter rising to a deafening pitch. Jack stumbled back, eyes wide with fear. "What do you mean? Where are they?" Suddenly, the door slammed shut, trapping them inside. The shadow loomed larger, reaching towards them, its whispers now clear, a haunting blend of lost hopes and sorrowful cries. "Find them," Clara urged, her form flickering. "Before the storm takes them." The friends huddled together, adrenaline pumping through their veins. "We need to split up," Tom suggested, though his voice shook. "We can cover more ground that way." "Are you serious?" Sarah protested. "What if that thing, whatever it is, comes after us?" "It's the only way," Emily insisted, her resolve strengthening. "If we don't find those drawings, we may not be able to help Clara or ourselves." With a shared nod, they prepared to face the unknown. As they separated, Emily felt a sense of urgency gnawing at her insides. The shadow's whispers intensified, guiding her toward the hallway, each step resonating with an unsettling echo of laughter. She raced through the corridors, searching for clues, her heart pounding in rhythm with the storm outside. The laughter surrounded her, a whirlwind of voices urging her on. Then she saw a door at the end of the hall, slightly ajar, a flickering light spilling into the dark corridor. Taking a deep breath, she pushed the door open. What she found inside would change everything. The room was filled with unfinished drawings and paint-splattered canvases, each depicting haunting scenes of children playing in a world that felt both familiar and foreign. But in the center stood a large canvas draped in a thick sheet. Emily's fingers trembled as she reached for it, the whispers in her ears growing louder, more desperate. "What are you hiding?" she whispered, pulling the sheet away. The painting was a chaotic swirl of colors, dark clouds swirling above a playground. And in the center, Clara stood alone, her expression forlorn, eyes wide with fear. But as Emily stared closer, she noticed something unsettling in the background, shadows creeping closer, their forms unmistakably human. With a gasp, she realized what this meant. Clara's fears had materialized, taking shape within her art. These shadows were the lost souls of the children who had once filled the school with laughter, trapped within the darkness. "Clara!" Emily cried, feeling the weight of the truth settle over her. "You're still connected to them." Before she could process her thoughts, she heard footsteps behind her. Turning, she found Jack, panting and wide-eyed. "Emily, we have to go." "The others?" But before he could finish, the shadows began to writhe, pulling away from the walls and lunging toward them. The air thickened, charged with energy as the shadows coalesced into a twisted version of Clara, her expression distorted by despair. "Help me!" the shadow cried, reaching out with desperate hands, the laughter of children echoing hauntingly around them. "What do we do?" Jack shouted, fear flooding his voice. Emily felt the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. They had to help Clara and the others, but how could they face this darkness? "Find the drawings," she yelled back, her heart racing. "We need to bring them back to her." Just as the shadow lunged, the room erupted into chaos. The canvas flickered, and the other paintings began to ripple, revealing glimpses of the children trapped within their frames. "Find us! Save us!" they cried in unison, their voices blending into a haunting symphony. With determination coursing through her veins, Emily turned back to the chaotic scene, ready to confront the darkness that threatened to consume them all. The night was far from over, and the true battle for Clara's freedom had only just begun. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you liked this story. Emily's heart raced as she stared at the swirling shadows, feeling the weight of the past pressing down on her. The cries of the trapped children echoed in her ears, a haunting reminder of their lost innocence. "We have to find the rest of the drawings," she shouted, urgency driving her voice. Jack nodded, his expression steeled with resolve. "Let's split up and search the classrooms. Clara must have left something behind in one of them." They dashed back into the hall, the air thick with tension as the shadows writhed behind them. The distant sound of laughter morphed into anguished wails, filling the space with a sense of impending doom. As they ran, Emily felt a chilling presence lingering just out of sight, urging her to move faster. They reached the first classroom, a dusty space filled with broken desks and faded posters. Emily scanned the room, searching for anything that might help them connect with the lost children. Her flashlight beam caught the glimmer of something beneath a desk, a colorful drawing, its edges crumpled and worn. "Jack, over here!" she called, kneeling to retrieve it. The drawing depicted a bright playground, with children playing under a radiant sun, their faces joyful and alive. But in the corner, shadows loomed, ominously darkening the scene. "What does it mean?" Jack asked, examining the artwork. "It's like Clara was trying to capture their happiness. But the shadows are always there, lurking," Emily replied, a sense of dread settling in her stomach. "We need to keep looking." They moved quickly from room to room, gathering any drawings they could find. Each one revealed glimpses of a world both vibrant and haunting, a party filled with laughter, a picnic by the lake, all tinged with the presence of darkness creeping in. As they collected the pieces, Emily felt the weight of the shadows closing in around them, as if they were aware of their mission. Finally, they reached the art room again, the heart of Clara's creative world. The chest remained open, but now it seemed to pulse with a strange energy. Clara's figure flickered at the edge of their vision, urging them on, her expression a mix of hope and desperation. "Emily, look!" Jack pointed to the wall. "There's more." Taped haphazardly across the peeling surface were additional drawings, each more frantic and chaotic than the last. One depicted a storm tearing through the playground, the children now trapped within their own joy, laughter turning to screams as the shadows reached for them. "This is it," Emily said, breath hitching in her throat. "This is what Clara was trying to warn us about. The darkness is feeding off their joy." Just then, the temperature in the room dropped sharply, and the shadows surged forward, taking form as anguished faces twisted in torment. "Help us!" they cried, their voices a haunting chorus. Clara's shadow loomed larger, her eyes pleading, but now there was anger in her expression. "Clara!" Emily shouted, trying to connect with the spirit. "We're here to help you. We found the drawings. We can set you all free." But the shadows didn't relent. They began to swirl violently, closing in on Emily and Jack. "You shouldn't have come here," the dark form of Clara screamed, her voice filled with a mix of sorrow and rage. "You've awakened them." The room shook, and the drawings began to flutter off the wall, swirling around them like leaves caught in a tempest. Emily felt a surge of panic, but deep down, she knew they couldn't give up now. "We need to find the heart of it all," she yelled, clutching the drawings they had gathered. "If we can complete Clara's story, maybe we can break the curse." "Where do we go?" Jack asked, his eyes darting around the chaos. "The library," Emily exclaimed, her mind racing. "It's where Clara spent her time. If we can connect with her spirit there, maybe we can channel the energy of the drawings." With the shadows clawing at their heels, they dashed through the hallways, the walls pulsing as if alive with energy. The laughter of the trapped children filled the air, a desperate plea that urged them forward. They reached the library doors, and as Emily pushed them open, a wave of cool air washed over them. Inside, the shelves were lined with books, some toppled over, their pages fluttering as if caught in a breeze. In the center of the room stood a large table, covered in dust and cobwebs. Emily felt drawn to it, a sense of purpose igniting within her. "This is where it all began," she said, placing the collected drawings on the table. As she arranged them, she could feel Clara's presence growing stronger, the air thick with anticipation. "Now what?" Jack asked, glancing around as shadows began to seep through the door. "Clara needs to see her story completed," Emily replied. "We have to connect with her and channel the emotions from these drawings." Taking a deep breath, Emily closed her eyes and concentrated, visualizing Clara's world as she imagined it, the laughter, the colors, the joy. She focused on the drawings, willing the warmth of their happiness to fill the room. "Clara," she whispered, "we're here for you. Show us the way." The shadows swirled around them, and Clara's form flickered into view. "You must be brave," she said, her voice echoing softly. "The darkness grows stronger when you fear it." With renewed determination, Emily and Jack took each drawing in hand, holding them up like lanterns against the encroaching darkness. As they did, the shadows hesitated, momentarily recoiling. "Feel the joy. Remember the laughter," Emily cried. Suddenly, the room erupted into chaos as the drawings glowed, their colors intensifying. The trapped children's laughter grew louder, merging with the sound of a gentle breeze. The shadows writhed, caught in the light, their forms shifting as if struggling to break free. "Clara," Emily called, reaching out. "Join us. We can break the curse together." In response, Clara's spirit surged forward, her ethereal glow brightening the room. "You can do this," she encouraged, her voice now clear and powerful. "Remember us." With each drawing they held, memories flooded back, children playing, laughter ringing out, the warmth of sunny days. The shadows writhed in agony, their anguished cries mingling with the joyous sounds of the past. "Now," Emily shouted, uniting the power of the drawings. "Release them." The room vibrated with energy as the drawings burst into brilliant light, illuminating every corner of the library. The shadows convulsed, their forms breaking apart, the faces of the trapped children emerging from the darkness, eyes wide with gratitude and relief. But just as it seemed they might break free, the dark figure of Clara stepped forward, a look of desperation in her eyes. "No, you can't leave me," she cried, her voice filled with sorrow. "Clara, you have to let go," Emily pleaded. "You're holding them back." "I'm scared." Clara's voice trembled, the shadows swirling around her. "What if I'm lost forever?" Emily took a step forward, feeling the weight of Clara's fears. "You're not alone. We're all here for you. Trust us. Embrace the joy you created." In that moment, Clara's expression softened, a flicker of hope igniting in her eyes. The shadows began to fade, and the trapped children reached out, their voices rising in a harmonious plea. "Come with us, Clara. Be free." The room erupted in a whirlwind of light and sound, colors swirling together in a dazzling display. Emily felt a rush of warmth envelop her, filling her with courage and compassion. The darkness began to dissipate, the shadows shrinking back into the corners of the room. As Clara's figure glimmered in the light, she reached out toward the children. "I'm ready," she whispered, a tear glistening in her eye. With a final, bright burst, Clara and the children's spirits merged into the light, their laughter echoing like a melody that resonated deep within Emily's heart. But just as the last remnants of darkness faded away, Emily felt a sudden chill creep back into the room. A lingering presence remained, a shadow lurking in the corners, watching, waiting. What was that? Jack asked, his voice trembling as he looked around. The air thickened again, and an unsettling silence fell over them. Before they could react, a figure emerged from the darkness, tall and ominous. A twisted silhouette with hollow eyes that glowed like embers. "You think you've won?" it rasped, its voice a chilling echo of the shadows. "You've only scratched the surface." As the figure advanced, Emily and Jack stood frozen, realization dawning. The true darkness was still here, and the battle for Maple Hill and Clara's soul was far from over. The ominous figure loomed closer, shadows swirling around it like a storm. Emily's heart raced as she realized this was the true source of the darkness, an entity that fed on fear and despair, thriving on the loss of the children. "Clara has been freed, but I still have power here," it hissed, extending a shadowy hand. "We won't let you take her again," Emily shouted, her voice steady despite the fear gnawing at her insides. Jack stepped beside her, determination shining in his eyes. "We've faced the darkness before. We can do it again." Together, they raised the drawings they had collected. The vibrant colors pulsed with energy, illuminating the room. "You're not stronger than the joy Clara brought," Emily declared. With a fierce cry, they unleashed the power of the drawings. The colors burst forth, swirling into a radiant light that enveloped the figure. The shadow screamed, its form twisting and contorting, struggling against the brightness. "No, you cannot banish me," it shrieked. But the light grew stronger, fueled by the memories of the children's laughter and Clara's spirit. "Feel the love," Jack shouted, channeling their courage into the light. "You cannot thrive where there is joy." With one final surge, the light exploded, engulfing the dark figure. The shadows recoiled and shattered, echoing the anguished cries of the trapped spirits as they were released into the ether. The room filled with a warm glow, and as the last of the darkness dissipated, Emily felt a profound peace wash over her. Clara's spirit appeared one last time, her face radiant with gratitude. "Thank you," Clara whispered, her voice now filled with warmth. "You've freed us all. Remember our joy." And just like that, Clara and the other spirits faded into the light, leaving behind only echoes of laughter and the lingering scent of fresh paint. The library returned to silence. The oppressive weight of darkness lifted. Emily and Jack shared a glance, relief washing over them. They had not only saved Clara but had restored the joy of countless lost souls. As they stepped outside, the storm had passed, revealing a starry sky. The air felt lighter, filled with the promise of new beginnings. They knew they would carry Clara's story and the stories of the children forward, ensuring they would never be forgotten. Maple Hill had reclaimed its spirit, and in the heart of the town, laughter once again danced through the air. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you liked this story.